Hi, I'm Renée Walker, a mindset mentor, speaker, and lover of all things spiritual. I believe that at our core, we are all spiritually wired for love, peace, success, and abundance. Here on the podcast, we're diving into mindset, wellness, and business, but always through a spiritual lens. Let's just say we're going deep, but we're keeping it light. So let's elevate your life from the inside out, one conversation at a time. Welcome to Spiritually Wired. Welcome back to the Spiritually Wired podcast. I'm going to attempt a free flow solo episode today for you. I recorded one a month, probably a couple of months ago, and as it was supposed to be airing, I just pulled it out. It just felt like it was really too personal. And since then, I don't know. I've just been, so much has been going on, and I've been working with finding like the line of how much do I want to share on the podcast and what feels good for me at this time. In the Spiritually Wired membership, I am very open and I share. I just feel like it's a space where I feel very comfortable being vulnerable. And on the podcast, I've realized that sometimes I do hold back a little bit, and I think that that's okay. I don't think that we need to share everything, but these solo episodes are just this place for me to let you in on what is happening in my world, in my own kind of healing journey. So here I am. I'd say what's showing up is that I have been going deeper into astrology. And I just want to say how much that has been, it's really been eye-opening for me. It's given me a whole different perspective on why I'm here, what I'm here to heal, and then kind of looking ahead as to what my path is, what my purpose is. And I actually recorded an episode with Marina Lynn, which is going to be coming out shortly. And we talk about like your south and north nodes. And it was like a really interesting podcast. But on a personal level, I also did this reading with Bella One, who is, she's called Modern Mystic on Instagram. You can find her. Anyhow, it was like really eye-opening from a place of, so I always saw astrology as being like, I'm a Libra. And that's all I knew about it. But it turns out my sun is in Libra, my moon is in Gemini, I'm like Pisces rising, and there is way more to it than just what your sun sign is. So it was quite interesting to, like, my world has just been opening up from that perspective. But even from a Libra perspective, when you think of Libras, it's always like you're someone who you can go from side to side, wishy-washy, indecisive, people-pleasing. And I always connected to it from a place of judgment, someone who I've always avoided conflict. And what I learned from going deeper into this whole astrology world is that it's actually more about a sensitivity to energy. And, you can walk into a room. I think that this is for all Libras, but I probably should have confirmed this before. And as I said, I did not plan this conversation. But anyhow, from like the Libra energy is more going into a room and reading the energy and really being someone who wants to balance the energy in a room. And I'm French. In French, Libra is balance. Balance means that, like the balance piece. And so balancing the energy in the room, that makes so much sense to me. And also it feels less as if it's a fault that I have and more a strength. And so it's been really interesting to understand myself in different ways. So if you've not really gone deeper into it, it's something that I highly encourage. And also, it's interesting. I woke up in the middle of the night last night, and it was also realizing that, like, yes, it's a way in which part of it is sensing the energy and being one to want to balance the energy. But then at the same time, right, the wound piece of it is where we maybe try too hard and where we lose ourselves in being the person that can balance that energy. And so what was showing up for me too is part of like the wound piece is learning that it's also not my responsibility to always equalize, balance the energy in a space. So that was really like a really interesting reflection. So again, as I said, like if you haven't gone deeper into your astrology and really truly your birth chart, highly recommend, feel free to reach out to me and I will absolutely connect you. But I've just found like it's just opened my eyes to so many different aspects. So I've been going deeper and deeper into that piece and also leaning into like what my strengths are, and then recognizing that that's why I'm here, right? And that some things come easily, and then some things I'm actually here to move through and to learn and to allow myself to show up with more of that energy. So that's been kind of fascinating too. Okay, I guess I could go for a long time into this whole astrology thing, and I won't and I'm going to pause it at that. And I'm going to let you go and figure out your own birth charts and really kind of see how it shows up for you. And please reach out to me and let me know, because I really want to hear. I'm super curious. We've found, like, I've had some different people come into the membership, and it's just like been fascinating to hear like everyone having this new awareness. Same thing with human design, right? It's given me such a different perspective. And now I'm like very curious about your gene keys. So I've been learning a bit more about that as well. There's been a lot of being seen. And if you've been a listener to this podcast, you know that this has been such a big thing for me that I've had to work through over the years. And now it's just like crazy. I just feels like there's been one thing after the next that's been showing up. So that's been really interesting. So I was in the Iconic magazine. So that has come up in the past month or so. And that was I'm not sure that I've really talked about it on the podcast, but just the behind the scenes of it. And when I said yes, I didn't quite know what to expect. And, when we had the photo shoot, for me personally, I've done a lot of them. Like, I've done a lot of branding shoots. And just so you know, like in the beginning, it was so hard for me. I felt very robotic. It took me a long time, but then, like everything in life, the more you do them, the more you become comfortable. And now I've thought, okay, this is going to be easy peasy. And it was in a way, but it was also a very different experience to do it. And to have someone else someone else was actually looking, reflecting back to me what they saw as being my energy and my essence. And it was different than maybe what I would have done. And, funny enough, I've shared this. If you subscribe to my wellness journal that I send out on Sundays, I describe how I did not want to wear this white dress that they had chosen for me. There was so much resistance around it. I don't know why. It just felt like, really? I just assumed that it would be a like a suit or a blazer. I love my blazers, like jeans, something casual. And so the white dress felt completely out of my comfort zone. So I resisted it, actually ordered something else. And then when I put it on and I actually started to realize the vision that they had, it was one of those moments where in real life you can feel yourself shift through an upper limit. And I could see all the ways in which maybe I've been keeping myself in a certain box. And there's been so many of those moments in this past year. Honestly, the last year my word was breakthrough, and it just feels like the manifestation of that work, 'cause last year felt like it was so hard. And this year just feels like the manifestation of the word breakthrough is showing up. And I say this because I had another experience show up, and I'm not sure that I've shared it here on the podcast, but I was asked to be the MC for Heartwired CEO, which is an event that my good friends Marsha Van Weisberg, Megan Weir host in the fall at Langdon Hall. There's going to be another one this year in October, I believe, and I will be back as the MC. But anyhow, when they asked me to be the MC and to hold space for them that day, I said yes, absolutely. It was such an easy yes. It was my first time doing that. But one of the things that they wanted me to do was to keep the energy high. Like just, we want you to really be intentional with grounding the energy when needed, but then keeping that energy up. And so it's something that I know I'm good at doing, and I was so excited to do. And so there was some dancing involved, and I went all out. And it was so interesting because when it ended, after I felt like, what just happened? And for a few days after, I felt like something had shifted and I couldn't quite understand. And this is the piece around identity. Like when we talk about real time identity shifts, that's how they happen. Like you don't necessarily expect them, but then there's a moment of recognition where you're in it, and then you feel the energy shifting, and you can see and really be in the presence of yourself showing up differently. And it's in those moments to me that where we're really integrating these new identities. And I felt it on stage there. I just could feel myself. I I felt it on stage, but it was after there was like a bit of that hangover, that vulnerability hangover that happened after questioning who am I now? Because I've been standing here as a meditation teacher. My strength is really grounding people's energy, holding space in that way. And now I was holding space in a completely different way. And what does that mean? Can I do both? And I just had this like clear confirmation, which just felt like this intuitive confirmation later. It took a few days to process. And I share this because be aware of that. Sometimes those shifts, it takes time to process. And then you have a moment. And this is where I always invite people, like when I work with clients, I always have them like, let's take a moment to really anchor ourselves in that energy, to feel that identity shift. And so it was like a merging, right? A merging of different ways of showing up in my life that now I'm realizing that they get to take space in who I am today. All of them get to be present, that I don't have to just keep the fun, high vibe dancing person in my personal life with my friends and my family. They all know that side of me. But on a professional level, it's been more holding the grounding energy. And so now it was very very uncomfortable, but also very cool. Now I can see how, yeah, it gets to both get to be together. And that was the energy that I carried at Manifestor was, yeah, I get to be all of it, that we don't have to compartmentalize. I always have a hard time saying that word. We get to be all of it. I think that there's certainly, obviously, there are certain spaces where one is needed more than the other. I'm not going to bring the high energy always. And at the same time, it's like, how can we bring more of ourselves? And to me, the definition of what your soul's purpose is to be the fullest expression of who you are. And I find that so much for so much of us, and the way our life is designed is that we have like certain parts of ourselves that we feel safe to show to certain people and then other people. And then we have like our little groups and how we show up at work and at home. And how liberating, how freeing is it to be able to bring all of yourself to all of life, instead of having to feel like, okay, who am I now? You get to be all of yourself. Maybe there's certain parts of yourself that are going to show up more in certain environments and with certain people, and that's okay too. But you don't feel like you're having to dim the other parts. You're just showing more of this part of yourself. So I just feel like the whole integrating, the integration of everything has been landing differently. I've also been going like really deeper into these spiritual laws. And I brought that into the Spiritually Wired membership where we've been studying them. And I've been, as I was really sitting with the spiritual laws, because I've studied them through different teachers, but what I really felt guided to do was to go to the original or, the more foundation of them. And sorry, I'm at my desk and I'm trying to pull up my book because I didn't think I was going to talk about it, but it's based on the Hermetic philosophy in the book, The Kabbalion. And honestly, that has also been really a deepening of, whenever, like, things, but then there are certain levels of understanding. And it's when something clicks it tends to be the term that I use, like something just clicks differently and you can't quite explain it, but there is a knowing that is happening at a cellular level that you couldn't quite explain in the same way. So this studying the laws through the Kabbalion and really, once again, processing them in a way that makes sense for me. So, one thing that I do as a spiritual teacher, I'm very aware of what the sources in which I consume. So I find it really interesting because I want to I'm always learning. I'm student at heart. So I'm always learning, listening to podcasts, but I'm also very mindful of sometimes what happens is that we're taking in so much information that we lose our own voice in other people's voices. So as a teacher, one thing that has always been very important for me is I don't overconsume. I have some incredible friends that are so wise and have so much information to share. And yet I'm also very aware of what I bring in only because I don't want to lose my own voice in the process. And I want to make sense of the information from the source itself, if that makes sense. And then I'm able to process it and share it in a way that feels genuine and feels authentic with what is resonating as truth for me. So that is a process that, I'm always quite aware of. And the Kabbalion, the philosophy here and really exploring the laws through that. I'm going to do a full episode on it because it has opened up again, it's not even opening, it's deepened my awareness of how the spiritual laws work, but then also how they work within the universe, because that is the part of it that I'm always questioning. Well, how does it all make sense? And like, I really want to zoom out and take a look at how does it make sense from the universe perspective, and why are things happening in a certain way? So that's been really just so enlightening. And as I'm recording this episode, clearly I'm going to be recording a full episode on the spiritual laws. So stay tuned for that. What else has been showing up? I hosted the most incredible spiritually wired dinner experience. And it's something that, it's been on my heart for a while. And it's interesting because I've done a lot of things on my own, but then I also love to partner and to collaborate. So I collaborate with my friend Binu for the Manifester events. I've done a lot of collaborations with my friend Brenda Jasmine. We do some corporate wellness contracts together, but then also some retreats together. And we've just done many things over the years. I've collaborated with, my OG collaborator, Lisa Garber, with Mothers on Fire. And oh my gosh, did so many collaborations. And so it's interesting with this dinner. I originally kind of thought I was going to collaborate on it. And then for some reason that wasn't happening. And that was my invitation to really, I just knew, okay, I'm meant to bring this into this incredible community that has been growing and building. And honestly, now I certainly did collaborate in the sense that the only reason I was able to bring this to life was because I had Kim Torrance, who was there to support in bringing the vision to life. And I was in tears when I walked into the space because I had a vision. All I told her was this one, for some reason, I wanted us all connected in this one long table, and I wanted these crystals. At first, my vision had these massive crystals, and they end up like, I think it was like $30,000 worth of crystals, which was not part of the budget. So that did not happen. However, Kim created something that was even more magical, honestly, even more magical. And we still went and we had like bags, like so many crystals were everywhere on the table. But then we had the greenery and the candles, like so many candles. It was just absolutely stunning, gorgeous, the whole thing. And I asked Karen Agro, who she came to one of the retreats that I did with Brenda. She did a use like a sound bowl, a sound healing meditation that she did with us. And then she plays the guitar. And anyway, she's just the most talented musician. And so I invited her to play the guitar for when people were arriving. And then she also collaborated with me when I did the guided meditation, we had her beautiful music. She accompanied me with the meditation. And just the connection and the being in a room with people. And the most important thing was just the intention to be so pure, which was for us to connect at a deeper level. And I have been in a lot of rooms lately. Like I've been in a lot of rooms, and each one of them serves their own purpose. I'm actually going to be at an event tomorrow. I love going to events and meeting other women. This one here, what felt different was the intimacy of it. So I was very intentional. We had 24 women. That was it. It was perfect. That was as many as the table could hold. And it felt, we were able to hold hands. It felt like we had space, but at the same time, connected, intimate. And also where no one was there, you didn't have to put on the social mask. You could just go as yourself. And connect with women at the heart level. And it's not to say that that doesn't happen in other spaces. It does, but usually there's an intention, right? You're going, let's say, as the business owner, or you're going for a certain reason. And this was like, no, the only reason is for you to show up for yourself, for you to receive, but to receive through your heart. And if there's anything that's really showing up on the spiritual path, it's like, yes, the spiritual path is meant to, we are ascending, we are inviting more light into our being. And yet at the same time, the heart is the spiritual eye. Oh, I read this in, oh, that's a whole other deep dive that I've been going on, which is the teachings of Mary Magdalene. And anyhow, I'm not going to go into that because that's going to be probably a whole other podcast as well. Anyhow, the heart being the spiritual eye. How beautiful is it to think of your heart as being your spiritual eye? And that is where we connect with other people, where we connect with source, with God, with consciousness, with each other. And so that really was the intention. And it just completely surpassed my expectations in ways that I can't quite even say, but I will be hosting another one in the fall. If you are not on my email list, just make sure in the show notes you can sign up. And the wellness journal that I said that I send on Sundays keeps you posted, and it will make sure that you are aware of the next dinner, because it was just so magical. What else has been showing up? I'm not sure about the timing of the release of this episode, but I'm actually going to be a published author for the very first time. And it's something that I'm going to be speaking more on for sure. But a year ago, I was at an event. This event is called Manifest with Kathleen Cameron. And she shared about a collaborative book that she was publishing, which was called My Manifested Life. And as she shared it, I just had a full body yes. I just knew this, I'm going to be a part of it. And so we had like 24 hours, 48 hours to submit an application. I went home, submitted the application right away. And I just knew deep down that it was meant to be. And so this is all happening, and it's going to be released June 30th. But in the process, we're actually going to Times Square. We are going to be on that Jumbotron at Times Square. This is all happening. I'm leaving this weekend, which I did not know about. And it's one of those things that saying yes to things. And the interesting thing, I pulled a card yesterday, and I may have it here, and it says patience. Patience is not the ability to wait, but the ability to keep a good attitude while waiting. And I say this because, I said yes to this a year ago. And here's the manifestation of it now. I was talking about my word being breakthrough. And I feel like last year was hard, and now there is more of a manifestation of what the energy of breaking through is about. And so there's a delay in between things. And so much of, when we feel stuck is that we're trying to rush through the process of things. So this is your invitation. If you're listening to this right now, take a deep breath and let yourself soak up where you are right now. Because what is coming to you, what the seeds that you've planted, they are growing, and trust that they are going to come to you, and you're going to see them exactly in the moment where you need. But enjoy where you are in the moment of, and I'm planting more seeds now. So certain things, I'm still waiting on, but I'm so learning now to take that step back and to be in the joy, to be in the moment of of like appreciating where I am, where my feet are now. If meditation teaches us anything, it's to cultivate this present moment awareness. And we're always kind of looking in the past and wishing we could have done things differently, and we're looking in the future and wishing that this would be here now. And yet at the same time, like, life lives right here in this moment. And so it's really so liberating. Another freeing thing is to just let yourself be and soak up the moment now. So yeah, stay tuned for more about this book. I don't have a ton of details right now. I'm going to be sharing all about it, though, as we move forward with it. But yeah, this has been a really expansive, let's just say, past months, past years. And I am just sitting in so much gratitude. I'm aware of the time, and I want to keep this episode shorter for you. So I'm going to sign off now, but I really want to remind you, as always, that you are spiritually wired for love, for peace, for success, for abundance. And I want to welcome you into the Spiritually Wired membership, because that is a space where we go deeper, where we learn to truly embody what this work is, to truly integrate what this work is, because that's what it's all about. All right, my friends, I'm sending you so much love, and I will see you next time. Thank you for listening to Spiritually Wired. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow and leave a review. It really makes a big difference for the podcast. And if you're ready to dive deeper and join a soul-led community, come be a part of the Spiritually Wired membership. With weekly live lessons and a rich library of recorded classes, it's designed to support you every step of the way on your spiritual journey. We currently have a special offer where you can receive your first month for half the price. You can find a link in the show notes, or come check it out at reneewalkerwellness.com. Until next time, remember to take some deep breaths. Remember that you are spiritually wired.